Welcome back to the programme. 5 months of protests now in Hong Kong and more sprawling scenes of violence. 2 people are in critical condition in hospital tonight. One protester was shot by a police officer with a live round. Another pro-Beijing supporter was doused in flammable liquid and set alight after arguing with demonstrators. The protesters are demanding greater democracy and police accountability, but the territory's chief executive, Carrie Lam, has warned they will not succeed. From Hong Kong, here's Stephen McDonald.
This is the scene in Mong Kok. We have here riot police. As you can see, they have their guns that fire both tear gas and also rubber bullets. There have been some clashes here, as evidenced by all the debris on the ground. Tear gas has been fired here, and yes, absolutely, there is a lot of tension in the city tonight after this activist was shot. And after we're having a police officer actually ask us to walk towards the side of the road. And, of course, this other terrible scene when a man who was seen to be presumably too pro-Beijing had some sort of accelerant poured on him, and then a more hardcore activist has set that on fire. And the scenes on the internet, shocking scenes of a man on fire just because of having a political argument, has shocked a lot of people in this city. And these are the scenes now where the police are sort of asking people what they're doing here. They're checking people's IDs, making arrests, and this is going on all over the city tonight.
Well, that was Stephen McDonald. With me here is our China media analyst, Kerry Allen. And Kerry, let's start with both those scenes that we saw there on the streets, more violence, and what Carrie Lam has been saying about the enemy of the people, and they won't back down. A very, very uncompromising message.
Absolutely, yes. Very, very strong message as well. I mean, when we think back to June, when these protests started, at their peak, there were 2 million people on the streets. So that's a quarter of Hong Kong's population. So to now turn around and say that the demonstrators are the enemy of the people, that is going to shock a lot of people in Hong Kong. Within mainland China, though, people actually see it as a good thing because they've only seen one perception of these protests long term. They've seen footage that has been handpicked by the Beijing government, which shows them as violent and antagonistic. They've called them riots, and they've called the protesters hooligans. And now it's language that's escalated to having shades of terrorism. So today, this footage, very, very strong footage, is
I'll come back to that point in a moment, but we are now several hours since the worst of the scenes. What is the update in terms of the number of arrests, the number of injured, that sort of thing?
Well, today it's been confirmed that 240 people have been arrested in Hong Kong today alone, and 99 people are injured, 4 of them seriously.
Now, we mentioned China in terms of what they see, their analysis of these same scenes. How much is actually being seen in China of what is happening there on the streets?
Well, one of the things that's really striking is the graphic nature of this footage that's been coming out today. And bear in mind, CCTV is the national broadcaster. It's viewed by everybody of all ages. Today, they're showing uncensored footage of a man being set on fire and a man being shot. So the footage that people are seeing is very shocking. It has a very high impact. But also, some of the footage I've seen, I mean, the man who was shot by a police officer, the beginning of this is missing from footage that people are seeing within mainland China. So they're not seeing the point of the police officer taking his gun out and pointing it at somebody's chest. What they're seeing is a struggle between a protester and a police officer who appears to be surrounded because there are so many people wearing black, which has been the colour associated with the demonstrators, that people in Beijing and China as a whole have the sense that the police are outnumbered and they can't deal with what they see as hooliganism.
And briefly, as you were saying, they've used the word terrorists about these protesters. Is there any pointer that we've had either from Beijing or anything from Carrie Lam that might point to a tougher response from Beijing that might be being considered?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we really do have to consider with China having such a tight media environment is what's known as the 50 Cent Party, who are people who are paid by the government to post messages in line with the government's message. And today, all I'm seeing over platforms like Sina Weibo, which is the equivalent of, say, Facebook or Twitter, are comments from people saying the government needs to do more. This has been going on too long now. And they're saying that the People's Liberation Army should go in, and that there's enough support from mainland China for that to happen.
All right, Carrie Allen, thanks very much for that analysis. Thanks so much.